So thank you for buying a p.CORDER. In this short video, I'm just going to give you a few tips to get you going. One of the things to remember is when you power the p.CORDER, it takes a little while to boot up. So once it does boot, you'll see all these lights come on and you'll see a menu screen that I'll show you in a second. But just remember, it does take a little while to get going. Once it's booted, it's fine. There is a way to reinitialize to load templates, which I'll show you in a sec. You've got two inputs. You've got an input for the presenter and you've got an input for the presentation. And they're marked on the back so you can see which one's which. They're HDMI, and they've also got a little loop through, and there's also a VGA output that you can take to a projector so that you can project the output of the p.CORDER with everything combined. Audio, you've got unbalanced input, AV input, and you've also got mic line in. You've got left and right mic line in. So that's the inputs. And one thing I'd recommend is these don't come with the kit or with the p.CORDER, but you can buy relatively cheaply on Amazon or in electrical shops. You can get converters from DVI to HDMI, from VGA to HDMI. So if you've got an older laptop you want to put in something like that, then it's good to have those available and ready. I'm going in here with this camera, which is HDMI, and then I've also got my iPad. So on my iPad I've got a little converter that takes the lightning connector and converts it to HDMI. So that's the input side. So thinking about the template side now, when the p.CORDER loads, it's got a series of default templates, and when the splash screen loads, you'll see that there are a number that you can choose from. I recommend you just choose those, connect the inputs, choose them and play with them and have a play with them. Now, when I say templates, there's template sets and then there's templates within the template sets. So this has a template set loaded already, and on the front here you see T1 through to T6, and if I choose one of those buttons you'll see that the templates change. So now I'm looking at a template which is a full screen of the camera, and then if I press T3, and don't forget with this infrared remote control you're pointing it at the p.CORDER, not the menu screen, so that's another little tip to remember. So now you see there's a different template with the thing switched around. There's also graphics on here, so you can press 0 to clear all the graphics, or you can press 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're BMP files that are loaded as part of the template. We cover that in a separate video. So now if I want to load a different template set, a completely different set, what I do is I have to reinitialize the p.CORDER. So I press init here, press init, and then it asks me to confirm that, because it doesn't want you to do that unless you're absolutely sure. So now the p.CORDER will reset, and you hear that little bleep to confirm that it's doing that. And the same thing as when you power up, this is the screen you see, and these are, please select a template. I can either select one of those, or if I press 0, this changes to USB user templates. So that means it's changing from the templates that are internal to the p.CORDER that come as standard from the factory to the templates that are on the USB stick. And those would be where you load your personal templates, and then once they're loaded you get a preview and you can select any number. You press, for instance, 1, you get this indent slightly to give me feedback that I've selected template set number 1, and now it will load that template set. And it takes a little while because with each template set there's a config.xml, and we'll cover that in a separate video. But what that config.xml does is it allows you to set everything on the p.CORDER to a standard that you want. So you can change the level of the audio, which audio input it's using. You can change a lot of different settings, and even the settings for each screen, the inputs and the outputs. So what happens is it will scale and it will change the structure of the p.CORDER when you load a template set. Once the template set is loaded, you can then change between templates. So you can, once it's loaded, you can then press the T1, T2, etc. and change between the different templates. So that's templates briefly. And then the other thing I want to talk about is really engaging the audience. So if I'm talking to you here, I'm engaging you by looking at the camera. If I start to look away or I start to look at something else, you lose the audience a little bit. So my advice to you is to put the camera, when you're looking down that camera and you're talking to the audience and you're doing your presentation, if you still need to preview your presentation, then put the camera as near to wherever you're going to preview your presentation. In this example, it could be good to put it above, for example, or below. So that's just a little tip on that one. And then finally, the thing is to think about audio. Make sure you're recording audio. You get a preview here if you're using the mic, And if you're using the P130, which has wireless, you will also get that come up as a preview there, and you can see it says wireless, it's labelled at the front. Just watch the level, and if it goes into the red, just bring it down a little bit. You can do that by going through the menu here with anything that's red can be selected, and then you press the plus and minus to bring those audio levels up and down. That's covered in the manual, it's covered, I'll cover it in a separate video, but basically just wanted to cover that. And don't forget, anytime you can plug in headphones to the front and you can preview that, and you get a full preview on the output here, which is the main output on the front. So I think that's all. Have fun, play with the templates. Just any other questions, just drop us an email. Thanks very much.